Oh, what's going on, YouTube? It's Donnie B all day. Right down there, I got a bunch of specs for this guy, so if you see me keep looking down, it's not because there's a naked Smurfette. All right, so we are going over the Off-Grids Viper today. Disclaimer, last time I did a Viper, I did the Fat Boy. I don't really like it, but just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not good. And I let y'all know that, so I hope you get something out of that. If there's something about this knife that I don't like, there might be 10 things I do. So we're going to figure that out right now. All right, so this is the Viper. It's like a black stonewash. They also sell it in what's called a double nickel. I think this one retails, I believe, for $70, and the double nickel is on sale for $55 on their website. I just looked, and I believe that they're discontinuing it. That's why. So if you really dig this style and you don't care if it's black or not, for $55 they have it over there. We'll find out if it's worth it. And from the build quality of the Fat Boy, even though I don't like the knife, the build quality, I have good high hopes for this build quality. So they have the magnetic box. We're going to open that. They have the telescopic accordion style, what do you call it, their catalog. And then inside the hard density foam, you will find a perfectly cut out space for this. So I'm going to go over the dislikes before I go over the likes, because I think the likes might outweigh it. The dislikes, it's got G10, which I love, but it has a very plasticky feel. It's some reason, some G10s, if you guys know G10, some G10s have a really nice feel in the hand, and some just feel cheaper. This one looks like good G10, actually. It's really nice. It's well made, but it just has that hard feel. I don't know if it's coated or how they do it to how it works. Maybe once it's in the hand and being used a lot, that might change. Like if I compare it to what's in my pocket right now, I have my American Sodbuster by Case in my pocket. Give you an idea what we're looking at, blade for blade. Now, of course, this is just a folder, no locking, right? Great folder, though. And you can see where it is in contrast to that knife. All right, so let's close that guy right there. This thing right here, aside from the feel of the G10, which might wear on me. It might get a little better as I use it. It could be because it's cold, and colder it is, the harder and slicker it's going to feel. Maybe once it gets a little bit of, man hand on it and a little bit of skin oil, it might actually absorb into it and become a great hold. We will find out. The other thing I do not like, and I think I'm going to end the do not likes right there for this knife most likely, is the the little lock right here. I find locks on folders to be useless and kind of overdone and just stupid to put on a knife. Because think about this, if you're a company who sells knives, right, and you sell 14 different folders that lock back into a lock back position, right? This is a liner lock that locks back into position. Is it a liner lock or a frame lock? Oh, hey, it looks like it is a frame lock because these scales, boop, are right there. Let's see how they call it right there. I don't know. I don't see it. So mechanical knife, ball bearing. They call it a grid lock, but I'm assuming that's what this little guy is right here. But around that, so if this is a frame lock, it is very skinny in the frame. See, I'm not seeing anything. You see the two metal pieces, right? And there would be your liner, and these are just scales, right? This isn't part of the knife. If you take these off, the knife still functions as it is. Although who knows? Maybe they consider it because how it is. I don't know, but it looks like a frame lock to me. And if so, that means it is one skinny frame, which, you want a thicker frame. And then if you're going to have a liner lock, you put that in there. And if you're going to have a frame lock, it's generally a nice big fat piece. It's the same obviously the same width as the frame, which it would usually be thicker. This one is not. I'm not going to hold that against it because I haven't used it, and I know they used a Cryo D2, which is really tough stuff. So you might be able to get away with these thin pieces if it's built well with good materials. So far, what I know of these guys is they build well and they use good materials, back to the lock that I hate. So let's say you have, 10 different models in your knife company, and one of them has a lock. Are you saying that all the other 9 aren't as safe as this one? It just does, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, if you've just built 9 lockbacks who all don't have a lock because you can trust your own components that are on there, why can't you trust this component? I don't get it. Plus, it's the same thing with revolver to slide pistol. Less moving parts. Less moving parts is always better on a knife. The less, the better. This is just one more moving part. So I could do away with the lock. I really don't care for them. Now, does it work? Well, it's on right now, and I cannot deploy it. I can still, however, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, shift this. So it moves a little bit, but not enough to deploy the knife. Now, generally speaking, when you are batoning with one of these that it's not made for, if you baton with one of these, any kind of lock back knife, what happens is everything's spring, whether it's a spine lock, whether it's a frame lock, whether it's a plunger lock, or whether it's a liner lock, it doesn't matter. Everything is like spring loaded. So if you bang on it, you will have failures that aren't a failure to the lock. It's just because it's moving so much, right? It's being impacted, so it shifts. This might prevent that, but since the knife's not made for that, what would be the point anyway? I don't know. So the lock works. I just don't like it. I've already hit it accidentally and went to close the knife. It wasn't closed. I had to hit the lock, which I know it's like right there. So it's like, oh no, you took so much time out of your day. But it's just an inconvenience in the blade. Let's go over some of the measurements and whatnot. Let's see. The weight is 4.8 ounces. The blade length is 3 1/4. It is ambidextrous on the pocket clip. It's not a deep pocket clip. It's a short one, but it's built really well. I actually I prefer a longer pocket clip, but if it's built well, then I'm not complaining. And this thing is built really, really well. It's a nice pocket clip. So no complaints there. Knife mechanism is ball bearing, and if you witnessed the first time opening, it works. Okay, grid lock, flipper, and you just saw that. Blade width is 1 inch. Blade thickness is 3.8 millimeters. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's not a very thick knife, but the Cryo D2 is strong, so I'm not worried about is it thin or not. It does have a 59 Rockwell hardness, tanto style, black wash finish, plain edge, 3 1/4 handle length, and and the blade length is 3 1/4. Okay, they're both the same, and that's it. In G10 sheath material NA. So here's the thing about off-grid knives. Is one thing I can say about these guys is they consider their knives to be overbuilt, and overbuilt means you build it stronger than it needs to be, and these guys do a great job at that. The chance you're going to have of a failure in the blade as far as a crack, a chip, a bend, anything is slim to none. Your stop pins are going to work. Everything's going to be there. You're going to find your blade comes dead nut out of the box. It's just ready to go. Everything is just really, really good in the hand. I have to say that once you look at it away from the spine, because it's hard to tell the thickness, but when you look at the thickness of the flipper, that's the thickness of the steel, and it's hard to judge with the tooling on the spine, but it's more impressive when you see the steel from here, from that angle, than from this angle. So Cryo D2 this thick is a good thing. That's a good thing in the blade. The tip is non-swedged, but it does have this almost bevel here, which breaks it down just a little bit, which gives you a really nice fat tip for strength. And it still has just enough for ultimate penetration. So with the spine, the decorative spine, is it needed? No. Is it handy? Maybe not. Do I like it? Yeah, it looks good. But it doesn't change any grips for skinning if that's what you're going to use it for. So for me, it's more just cosmetic, cool looks than anything, and it does look good, so I will give them that. The grinds all look good. Everything is well done. The blade edge, we are about to find out. Let's test the blade edge. Now I only have a little bit of room to work with here, so let's go. Let's go. And look at that. And look at that. Right away, we find out that this knife isn't just sharp, but it is shave sharp. That was an easy little push, and look at that bald spot. Poo-wee dog. All right, so that's that. Let's take it to the outer doors and give it a test. They don't have any kind of spine work in there, any kind of filler. It's just completely hollow through. What that does is, because it's very, very strong and very well built, it does reduce weight because it's already a heavy knife. If you started putting in body pieces, then your weight is going to increase to a point where you don't need it to. As far as the pocket clip, it does carry spine up, and it is ambidextrous, but not spine up, spine down. I don't care about that. It's a pocket knife. It's made to go in and out of the pocket. That's what its job is. That's what it does. Let's go. Whew, all right, so in the hand, outside, it feels good. I still, the feeling, this coating on this, something about it just doesn't feel great to me, but the contouring feels really good. The flipper works as like a finger choil, and it holds me in there really well. My thumb on this tooling feels good there, so I will give it that. There's no other jimping anywhere else, so the only thing that's jimping-ish, right, is just right here, but it does the job if you're especially using your thumb. For a finger, you could feel it, but it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't matter because the knife should be able to speak for itself, right? And that was simple. I didn't want to do a saw cut. I wanted to do a pull cut, and it pulled beautifully. So we know the thing is sharp. We know it fits in the hand well, right? So it moves around. If you are using this as an EDC, and self-defense is one of those things that you think about, being able to turn this in the hand and hold on to it is very important. And that's where the grip does work. It gives you enough of this texturing to where if you move it around in the hand, it's still going to work. So I do like that. And let's bend this down a little bit. Bow, boom. All right, so let's check the overall balance. We'll see. Actually, you know what? We have a blade. All right, we have a blade. So we're going to open this up, and we are going to check balance points. And you can see maybe where it is. So it is about 1.5 inches down the scales, maybe 1 inch from the pivot point. That means we should have enough weight up front to carry a very forward balance. And we're going to find that out right now. We're going to go 4 feet in the air. We're going to drop it straight down. And holy moly, for a heavy knife, I expected that to just dig right in. Like that. Look how straight that was. I'm saying the first one was user error. All right, so that's good. Now we're going to test how well this all holds up without locking it. Actually, we'll lock it first. So we have it locked. We're going to do a couple of hard downward throws. And because the lock goes this way, it shouldn't undo itself. If it was the other way, hitting down could send it loose, but we will see how that goes. Oh, you hear that thud? It doesn't have a lot of bite. The penetration I thought would be better. But maybe it's that big thick tip. The bite just wasn't getting there. Let me see, did I just feel some loosening? No, it's still it's the moving inside of where to the lock. Because there's just a little bit of space. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but you see the space in between the liner and the actual lock, it moves there. You can see that good. So honestly, the lock, it looks like it's just a little Allen. I might just remove it altogether. I just don't need it. So now we have, okay, so it doesn't flip, it doesn't pop open. So now we're going to try a couple downward throws with the lock off and see if the lock locks itself unwanted. There we go. That was a good thud. I got that one down in there. The lock did shift. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, so that right there, I really wound up on it. You can see the lock shifted, but not enough to send it into the lock position, I don't think. Let's see. No, I was still able to close it from the distance that it moved, but it did move on its own, which means moving part on a knife that doesn't belong there, I'm not good with that. All right, so let's do a hard downward stab. And remember, lock backs are not made to pry with because there is a pivot point. Moving parts on a knife mean weak points. And I don't mean that this knife is weak. What I mean is it would be weaker than if it was a full tang knife, right? But we're going to try and do a little prying anyway. I'm going to get it forward to you. You can see there's no flex in the blade whatsoever. I got this thing about a ½ inch into the wood, digging out some wood there. Oh man, I think the lock just locked itself. It did. That's what I mean. The lock moves on its own when you're grabbing it, and it's just a pain in the balls. All right, so everything's still dead nut. There's no loosening. There's no loosening or dictionary work by this guy right here. So it didn't loosen. The thing is just, it's built really well. Aside from this lock, it's everything you would want as far as build quality, right? Everything you would want. 3.5-inch blade gets a lot of stuff done. So I can appreciate the snot out of that. Let's do some kitchen prep type work right here. Look at that. Cutting down that Slim Jim so you can share it with your friends. Ba-boom. Easy, easy, easy. Let's take off some of this bark here. Shaves really nice. You can get a pretty thin shave. Being kind of a thick bevel here, it's not like hair popping, skinning sideways like this. You know what I mean? Like like the cucumber salad test I do, where you want to get just under the bark, but without touching the stick. And I can do it, but it's not as easy as some knives. Like I'm trying to at some points, and I go a little too far. That's just the thickness of the blade, but it's not made to make, you know, sliver cuts. This thing is made to be a workhorse. So I'm going to give it the credit there, because as a workhorse, it's getting the job done. So now let's say you're out in the woods and you have your carry-along knife, and maybe you only have a machete or an axe. So you're thinking, oh man, I should have brought a camp knife, but now I got stuck in the woods. So I need to survive. Well, if you have this as a carry-along, as your secondary knife, and you need to make pit spikes, spears, arrows, tent spikes, anything like that. Oh, look, now I can tie my tent down. This thing will get the job done. No problem at all. Let's see. So now we gotta get a fire started. Let's see. And you can see I'm just absolutely carving up these perfect little feathers that are going to make for great fluff. Let's hammer on it a little bit, because if you're out in the woods and you need to survive, well, kindling is important. So let's make some kindling. Now remember, when you're using a folding knife and batoning, be careful where you keep your fingers, because there's a good chance that the knife can fold on you. So just be careful with your fingers when you're doing that. Unless you're a man like the shredder, then it doesn't matter. There's no blade that can pierce his skin. All right, let's see here. Although I did see him wearing that Band-Aid once. All right, here we go. So this is working out pretty well. Let's get a nice, a little thicker piece here. And this is very, very wet and sappy wood. So sap creates drag. It also creates a nice fire when you're camping. But it creates drag, and you can actually see the sap on the blade. And it's going through no problem. It's doing the job. I actually didn't have any closures, which is kind of weird. That's usually something that happens. So here's one thing I just found on the liner that I kind of like. Do you see that little, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. There's like a little ball. Yeah, I think you can see it right there. Boom. When it closes, it's not just this resting against it. That little ball is in there and giving pressure against there, creating a nice little spot to hold it. And when they talk about, you know, overbuilt, that is something that you don't see on a lot of knives because it's not needed, but it's appreciated. That's a good little piece. So, I mean, the scales are working in on me. I'm starting to like them a little bit more and more. So it's not bad there. It's a good EDC size. The only thing that I don't care for is the lock, which is going to take me nothing more than a little Allen wrench to remove. And that is literally all I don't like. And that is nothing. That is nothing. It's not like it's something that can't be undone, and it's going to be undone quite quickly. Speaking of undone, let's undo some wood. All right, let's get a little chop in on some of this green stuff. All right, so we have some branches on it. Holding it down gives me enough leverage because of this nice little cut right here. Look at that. I actually went through 2 pieces on that one. All right, so let's do a little bit of chopping action here and see if I can't keep you all in frame. Now remember, it's not a chopping knife. However, when it comes to survival situations, if it's the only knife you have, you may need it to chop. And your question will be, oh crap, will my knife be able to do that? And so far, I can tell you it's going through quite easily. Now I'm spinning it and I'm using my wrist because when you're chopping in a survival situation, you want to use as little as possible energy. You don't want to expend that much energy. Now, one of the other things that making short calculated chops does is all the pieces that are flying off are dropping right there. They're not going anywhere, which means not only am I going to have my piece of wood cut, but I'm also going to have fluff, right? So now, why would you need to chop? Well, let's say you need firewood. Let's say you need to make that spear, and going like this for 3 hours on something like this to cut it down to size might take a little time. Where just chopping, and normally by now I'd go upside down and chop the rest of the way, but I wanted to make sure I was in frame. I'll just hold it. And you can see that all my cross cuts are going very smoothly. So I'm getting to a point where bam, that happens, and I just made that happen. Now let's go back to the stump, and we'll do this a different way, because there's always 2 ways to skin a cat, and the dogs love hearing that. All right, so tell us more. Tell us more. We'll tell you 3 ways. All right, so now let's say you don't want to sit there and chop all day long, so you get yourself a baton. Now, don't baton straight into a log. Don't do that. You're just going to kill your edge. It's going to take you forever to get through. A little sideways, pull it out. A little sideways, pull it out. So now I'm going to turn the stick to a new position, new point. A little sideways, pull it out. This is going to save your knife edge a little bit longer than it would if you were just going to keep on hammering on it. All right, so nice, easy taps. You see I'm not killing it. I'm just going really, really soft, really easy. I need to break the wood. I don't need to break the knife. All right, there's a huge difference. And you see how easy that was. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. It works out really freaking well. So overbuilt? Yeah, I'd say so. There isn't a single wobble or loosening in this thing. I'm going to take out that lock because this is an easy go-to in my rotation now. This is going to be one of those knives that will be used and will be used often. I like it. Off Grid did a bang-up job on this thing. This is the Viper, the black stone-washed version, and I dig it. And let's see, guys. Are y'all still with me? Are y'all still with me? This is how we find out how well built the knife is, by me missing. Hey-oh! First try! Woo! Second try. It's the first try after my first miss. All right, so that's it. The Off Grid Viper. Now I have some things coming up. I told you guys last week at some point that I was thinking about getting rid of the Harley and doing something different, and I didn't tell you what because it was going to be a little crazy. I went to a dealership and I talked to a guy about something. Hey, get up here. And I'm trying to make that happen, hopefully this week. And if it does, then there's going to be a whole bunch of videos coming up because it's going to be something that I'm able to, turn into something even cooler. So I will let you guys know. I had people say, no, don't get rid of the Harley. But, you know, getting rid of my CVO Ultra wouldn't be a bad thing. Hold on a second, I got to yell at Roscoe. Yeah, that's guilty right there. That's guilty. That's guilty. All right, so, but yeah, so I have that coming. Also, I wanted to show you guys something. This is something I was always against. Do you see this? This is one of those belt phone holders that you put on the belt. Usually I would see these and I'd be like, oh my God, it's for old people or blah, 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 blah. I hated them. I'd look at them, I'd see people using them and be like, what is wrong with these people? What are they doing? I got a new phone case and it came with that thing. So I got it on a day I was at the gym where the gym was in the mall. So I was like, oh, well, I'm at the gym, so I'm wearing shorts. I have my phone shoved in my pocket, but it's a short pocket. So I didn't want to lose my phone, so I was like, I'll just hook it up. I have been using that thing every day. If you get a phone case that has one of those belt things, and you're like me and you think it's dumb, it's not. It's actually good. Speaking of good, this guy right here. So that's it, guys. This one is over. That is the Off Grid Viper. Not too shabby. Hoo-wee. I got some more knives that came in. The SE X-Bat Darien came in. The K-Bar War Sword came in, which is just a camp knife. I don't know why they call it War Sword. It's kind of dumb. And I have some others that are on the way. Plus, I still have that knife I have to give you guys a review on, the pine cone handle knife. I have to get to that one. Plus, I have a bunch of budget buoys. And I know budget buoys are a love amongst the crowd because they're cheap, they're easy. If they break, who cares? Man, this one's all right. All right, so that's it for me. I am Donnie B all day. Until next knife.